Number one, Blinner, Blinner talks equal $100 million. We're talking about that today. Number two, I'll talk about an opening I have for some one-on-one consulting, a package I call Ascend. First of all, Blinner Talks, and then I'll just briefly mention about Ascend. So this is the book, The A to E Sales Presentation Method. Now, it's by Christian, Kristin Puppone. And I talked about this, and not just this, but the whole strategy behind this and so many other books and products and things that I own, and tied them together in my talk for I just woke up and I'm just having coffee, so if I'm slow to retrieve a title, I apologize. In my talk for the secret door. And there's a golden thread between all of these things. But this guy did 100 million sales with what he calls Blinner Talks, breakfast, lunch, dinner. Blinner, breakfast, lunch, dinner. A definition of a Blinner Talk is a sales presentation offer over breakfast, lunch, or dinner to an audience of individual decision makers with the purpose of ethically and effectively selling a product, service, or idea, creating a win-win situation for all the parties involved. The most effective tool in your toolbox to acquire customers, close sales, quickly grow your business and revenue. Now, let me just make a point here, guys. The stuff you learn from me at like these seminars and things I do, even if it's simple as a book, it's stuff you didn't learn from anyone else. Ain't anyone else in our industry talking about this book or Blinner Talks, unless they got it from me. That's because I research out these little known gems. Now, the idea of the Blinner Talk is, and I sold a lot with little Blinner Talks. One summer, I gave crime prevention class, and I did a crap load of them, sold a lot of tear gas. Now, webinars are sort of the same and sort of different. The difference is the Blinner Talk does have an offer, but it's not this huge pitch that it is in a webinar. It's more like a casual thing, great information that's big picture, and then a call to action at the end. My client, when I was a copywriter, Walter Haley, built I don't know how many millions, but a pretty big business off of Blinner Talks, because he would just go to dental association meetings and talk. He was funny as crap, and he's just a great speaker. And then if people wanted a free report that he offered, he'd collect their business cards, go back home. In his basement of his house over here in Hunt, Texas, down the street from me, he had a telemarketing room. And the telemarketers would call those business cards and start making the sales. It was a very slow sales cycle. It was, according to what Steve, the CEO of his company, told me, it was like, they'd come in and it would be like at least a 6-month sales cycle to get these dentists to come to boot camp, which was held in his living room, in his den at his house, which held like 100 or 200 people. So he couldn't sell the house. After he passed on, they couldn't sell the house because it's got a telemarketing room in the basement, this gigantic, enormous den. I would have personally loved to have the house, but the upkeep on it, because it had an Olympic-sized swimming pool in the bedroom, the upkeep, quite honestly, is probably more than I make. The house was gigantic and like just surrounded by 200 acres that he owned or something like that, or 500 acres that he owned. And so like the upkeep on that house and the land surrounding it, I'm sure was just insane, but it was gorgeous. It was beautiful, right? My point is, if you can talk, you can generate leads. We're going to come back to that. First, I just want to say, so I have about 5 bread and butter things that I do that generate money. My $47 offers, my try before you buy offers, my 4 to 6 week classes. my little bread and butter offers. I got, and these are a lot my invisible funnel offers, the try before you buy. These like clockwork generate cash. And I just kind of rotate between them. I do them all the time, my $47 offers. And I have a program called Ascend, which I believe there's 6 of them. So it's a 6-week one-on-one consulting. And what we do is I'll just walk you through in each session one of these on how you can add it to your business. This is only for somebody who's already got a business and is already making a good money. It's just like additional sources of revenue if you aren't using these, and you're probably not. Additional sources of revenue you can add to your business. So the product is called Ascend. If you have an existing business, the monetization on it is like extremely fast because you can implement. I give you my templates. You can implement it, the sales pages and stuff, almost like the same day. It's a very fast monetization. It's one-on-one consulting, so it's not cheap. It's called Ascend. It's a 6-week one-on-one consulting. If you want details on it, drop me a note on Facebook or at getyoursupport.com. Now, so I recommend you read this book. What I like about it is the simplicity of it, right? The guy just breaks it down. It's nothing real fancy. It's actually real basic, but very well executed. And that's why he's used it for different businesses and different things. He sold 100 million, just like clockwork. That's beautiful. Like, it's free lead generation. It's just free, right? I think it's very cool. The fascinating thing about marketing is there ain't one way to do this deal right. There ain't just one way to do the deal right? There's a lot of different ways. And I admire looking at people that are very aggressive. I don't want to say born marketers, but it just comes like almost innately to them. They're very aggressive, but they're typically very charismatic and charming. And so that takes the edge off. If you're very aggressive and you're not charming and charismatic, all you do is piss people off. And I'll give you the example of Grant Cardone. Like, he's extremely aggressive. I would say extremely aggressive. However, he's got a lot of empathy for people, and he's just really a charismatic person, right? And you have a high affinity typically. So he takes the edge off. Now, yeah, he offends some people, and some people don't like I don't think it's that he's so aggressive that people don't like. I honestly just think that it's his message where he's saying, like, if you aren't making, $1 million, you're not Jack, and so forth. And people are like, screw you, Grant Cardone, blah, 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 blah. It's almost like he's putting to them. I don't think he's putting people down. I think he's trying to inspire and lift them up. But in their mind, when he says that, he's putting them down, so they react against it. Be that as it may, whether you like him or hate him, it's irrelevant. The point is, combined with being real aggressive is this likability, right? The charisma and the likability. And if you don't have that, then you just come off as being a jerk, right? So I think that empathy is important, and having some charisma and so forth is important. Anyway, I'll tell you a guy who basically uses this system is Eric Lofholm, Lofholm. And instead of giving Blinner Talks that are in person, he does virtual ones. And during the pandemic, now I don't know what he's doing now, but during the pandemic, he went into overdrive mode and did 1 talk a day for a business, virtually 1 talk a day. So he teaches salespeople. So he would do 1 sales training a day, free sales training for a business, even if they only had like 3 or 4 people, right? He just was in overdrive. It was really an unbelievable thing, right? In this business, you got to be able to do one of two things. You got to be able to write, or you got to be able to talk, and you got to get your message out. Because like people will say, well, Marlon, I've been doing this business I've been trying since 1997. I ain't made any money at it. Well, yeah, fair enough. Number one, chances are you probably didn't create your own products. And if you did, you didn't use either writing or talking to build your audience. You can't just, unless you have affiliates or you're doing paid ads, you just can't put your product out there and have it sell very much. Unfortunately, I wish you could. You got to go out and hustle and build the audience. I mean, here Walter he was worth $600 million, and he would hop on a plane all the time and go speak at dental meetings, like all the time. That's how he generated his leads. That was the lifeblood of that business. And then the conversions were salespeople over the phone. That's all the business was. There wasn't anything else I mean, there was back of it. There was referral methods that were extremely sophisticated, right? But basically, he would go out, he'd give these talks, get the cards, go back, give them telemarketers. Telemarketers would call and make the sales, right? I mean, if you're like, well, Marlon, I ain't never made money, but you've not used writing to build your audience, and you've not been able to use talking to build your audience, you've not been able to use affiliates, and you've not been able to use paid ads. What's the sound of one hand clapping? You've done 2 products or whatever, 0 products, 1 product, 2 products. Most people have never done more than that. And you've spent no time building an audience via writing or via speaking. So who are you going to sell the products to? I mean, just honestly, who are you going to sell them to? You got to be out there writing and speaking. And then the next thing is your natural market. It's like someone in my 10-day launch, they were struggling for a product on all of these ideas that were just like generic internet marketing that aren't going to work, but they have a lot of experience in software development, outsourcing, and so forth. So the product was right before their eyes, and they didn't really see that niche. Some of you have experience, most of you have experience in a niche, but for whatever reason, no, I don't want to sell an info product in that. I want to go out and try to compete with all these internet marketers, which is hard. It's freaking hard. It's not easy. You got to be really aggressive, and most of them sell through affiliates, and they have relationships, and they do lots of recips. You can do it, but it's not easy. It's easier to go into a niche where you already know the people. They're like you speak their language. Just as an example, my dad loved model airplanes, and he would fly and fix model airplanes. If he was out selling something to people that flew model airplanes, he would have a big advantage over people who did it. That's the advantage. The advantage is the people you have something in common with, right? Well, anyway, finding your audience is so important, right? And there's only a few ways you do it. You do the paid ads, pretty much. You do affiliates, or you do a crap load of writing and push out your writing with guest blog posts and Medium and LinkedIn Pulse. And there's a lot of places you can push writing out to. Or you push out talks, either talking free for businesses, webinars, doing like Eric Lofholm did, right? But talking how virtually, you can, again, Eric gave virtual talks or in-person talks, but you got to push the message out, because if you're not doing that, that's everything. It's your lead gen. And if you ain't doing that, I don't know how you think you're going to sell products. But most people never even create the product either. So it's like, it's worse because, well, they don't have an audience. They've not created a product, and they don't understand why they didn't make money, but they bought some one-click software off of wherever that said miraculously, if they pushed a button, this money would come flooding in, and they bought into it, that for $8, they're going to spend $8 freaking dollars. Follow this logic. I'm going to spend $8. I'm going to click a freaking button, and it's just going to flood money. And I ain't got to talk. I ain't got to write. I ain't got to have affiliates. I ain't got to buy any ads. I'm just going to push a button, and all this money's going to flood. No, you got to hustle your tail in, and you got to go out and you got to knock on doors and give your talk. You got to go out, you got to talk to groups, and you got to find out who are these groups who are going to buy my stuff. Who are these groups? Who do I have something in common with that I might be able to give a talk that they'd want to hear? And that they have some kind of association or some kind of a meeting where I can go out and talk to them virtually or in person, right? Or if I'm going to write, I got to hustle that writing to build an audience. I'm going to have to hustle a lot of writing. Grant Cardone in 10X Rule, when he had to retool his business after 2010, he did like 3,000 articles and speeches. I mean, it's a high volume. Now he's building a multi-million-dollar business. You ain't got to do that many if you're not. But still, I mean, here's Walter worth $600 million. And he wasn't just sending his CEO out to go generate the leads. All right, I'm just going to delegate it. You go out there and give them talks and generate those leads for me. No, Walter went on the plane himself. Just about every week, he's flying somewhere, giving a talk, collecting business cards, coming back and giving them to the telemarketers, collecting business cards, giving them to telemarketers, collecting business cards, talking, offering a free report, collecting business cards, giving them to telemarketers. He would give a talk and then he would just be flooded with people handing him their business card for this free report, right? And then the telemarketers are on the phone, developing those relationships, making those sales, right? Hi, Faddis. I'm doing great. How are you? So, in short, you've got to produce products. Absolutely, that's a given. If you're like, well, I've been doing this forever, however long, and I ain't made no money. Well, how many products you produce? Usually, the answer is zero. Well, no, I had this affiliate network marketing thing or this affiliate thing for some scammy freaking thing. And because I don't want to have a product, Marlon, because I don't think I'm good enough to do a product, or that sounds like hard work. I had this scammy affiliate thing, and I just mentioned it like once on a post on Facebook, and I thought like lots of people were gonna burst down my door, begging for a link to it, and they didn't. And didn't make money, right? Like, you can do affiliate marketing. It's usually paid traffic and it's very aggressive, and you got to be really, really freaking good at it. Most of those affiliate marketers you hear about making all this money, they spend a crap load on paid traffic and they're really good at it. It's now you can sell affiliate products if you're willing to go out and build your audience on YouTube and really do YouTube right and hustle it. And it's meaning you probably got to do daily videos, and they got to be good. You can't go over there and be like, yeah, hi, I got an affiliate link. It's a scammy thing, but it's a link. I thought it was cool because they got a double spillover, triple bypass with a weekly payout. And ain't anybody going to listen. You got to be really freaking good at YouTube if you're going to do YouTube, right? And that's the best way to get traffic for affiliate products other than paid is YouTube. But you got to build the audience, not pitch them. You can't do product reviews like Jonah Armstrong does it, but he reviews a product every single day and has for like 5 years, 6, 7 years. And then he offers a bonus stack for it that he creates in Commission Grill. And now he has someone create it for him on his team. He used to create those himself. That takes at least an hour to do that bonus stack probably, right? I mean, that's how it's done. There's a difference sometimes between what's said and what's done. You got to understand what reality is. Reality is you got to build an audience somehow. And it can be a challenge, right? It depends on you. I was fortunate in the early days of internet marketing because I had a lot of experience speaking. I was trained for 3 years in speaking. And so we were able to go out and do 120 seminars around the world. Now, and those really didn't build my audience. Most of those people weren't really buyers, but I was then able to speak at internet marketing seminars, Carl Galletti seminars, a bunch of others where there were buyers. We did our own seminars. And so anyway, because I think people have a lot of delusions. They think, oh God, everything's so complicated. I mean, if I just had this miracle thing, the miracle thing is you hustle and you go out and you do talks, or you hustle affiliates and you get affiliates on board, which is a challenge. but it works. It works. It's just a challenge, but it works. I made a lot of money through affiliates. But somehow you got to be out there and hustle up your audience. And if you ain't doing that, well, no wonder you didn't make sales. If you ain't got any products, that's why you didn't make sales. Well, I never created a product. I never built my audience, and I'm just mystified why I ain't made no money. I cannot understand it. I didn't build an audience. I didn't go out and write a crap load. I didn't go out and talk to a whole crap loads of people all the time. I didn't buy any ads. I ain't got no affiliates because I don't like them recips. I did nothing to build an audience, and I never created one freaking product, or if I did, I never promoted it because I never built an audience. And I can't understand why I didn't make no money. The best payment gateway is the gateway you can use, Fattest. I'm not in foreign countries, so I don't know. You can go to NHB group, nothing held back. If you go in there and just search, people have asked that question 10 million times. Go into nothing held back and ask. I also recommend networking with other marketers in your country to find out what they're using. If there's any marketer in your country selling online, make friends with them and find out how they did it. All right, guys, that's all I've got today. That's what it takes to make money in this business. You need to you build your audience by paid ads, by writing, hustling out your content like on social media and so forth, video, and preferably create your own products. But if you don't, you probably need to be a YouTuber and work the living daylights out of YouTube. Although you could do it with writing. If you really write aggressively, guest post and so forth, you could build an audience if you're really good at it. You got to be really good at it, right? The major thing is here, you can't be lazy. You can't be a hack. Somebody told me, well, I just want to work a little bit, and promote affiliate products, have a lot of money come in. And the only thing about that is, okay, well, how are you going to build the audience? Well, if you can do that. If you do one YouTube video a day, that's a review video with bonuses, and you might be able to do that in a relatively efficient time frame if you get really practiced at it, possibly if you use an outsourcer to help. You can do that. You got to hustle it every single day, right? You got to hustle it every single day. If you're going to give talks, look at Eric Lofholm's books. He has a book on prospecting on Amazon. He will tell you how he hustles his talks. I mean, every single day during the pandemic, he did a talk to salespeople. Apart from the pandemic, I think he does less. I think he does like 1 or 2 a week. But he does a free talk, and then he offers his membership site, which is like $20 a month or something. That's all he does. That is all he freaking does. He has one talk, and he just gives it to a gazillion, billion mother freaking people, right? I mean, I think Walter had pretty much one presentation that he did. He would make you pee your pants laughing. He was an entertainer and just a very charismatic speaker, right? It helped that he could say that he had $600 million. But he would go out there and one talk, but he would just give it a lot. He probably had a couple other talks, but I think he had one main talk, right? And he just kept giving it, just kept giving it, just kept giving it, just kept giving it, just kept giving it. How are you going to generate leads? Now, I had 30,000 affiliates. Unfortunately, I ain't got 30,000 affiliates now because the affiliate market it totally changed, right? I mean, about 2008, the whole Warrior Plus started their affiliate program. JV Zoo started theirs. ClickBank got really aggressive, and the whole market changed, right? But so you can market through affiliates today. I think it's a lot more difficult than it used to be. But there's people out there really doing. I mean, Mosh Berry has done extremely well. BARI, creating his products and then pushing them out through affiliates. But how are you going to build your audience? Right. I mean, it's 101 of sales. You start out in sales, if you're not unlucky, you get a job where you got to knock door to door. That's building your audience. I'm going to build my audience knocking door to door and give sales talks. That's a tough freaking way to make a living. I'll tell you what. Giving talks to groups is a lot better way, right? But you got to build your audience. And in my opinion, the easiest way to make money is create and sell your own products, because that way you can have affiliates for your own products. I mean, if you're just out there trying to, but you can do YouTube videos. Again, if you want to know how to do YouTube videos, go search on YouTube, Jono Armstrong launch jacking. Jono, Jono Armstrong launch jacking. And he has free training. He'll tell you how to do it. It's not the how to, it's the hustle to. I mean, people are like, oh, you don't need to hustle. Oh, so you think just money's going to fall down from the sky because I ain't got to go out and find affiliates. I ain't got to buy paid ads. I ain't got to talk to build an audience. I ain't got to write, do a bunch of crap load like Trina Ruth has done 50 Kindle books to build her audience. I ain't got to write. Just, I'm magically going to have an audience because I smile. Oh, and all of a sudden all these people show. Oh, you don't need to hustle. Okay, well then who are you going to sell to? Like, it's a pitch. Usually the pitch is, oh, you don't have to hustle, you don't have to work that hard. We're just going to run these ads and people are going to make appointments, and then you're going to get on the phone and sell them. Well, how many am I going to sell? Well, you're probably going to sell 1 out of 5, 1 out of 3. So, I mean, you only need to do 5 appointments a day. So I don't need to hustle, but I need to spend $20,000 a month running ads or more. And I need to do 5 hour-long phone calls a day trying to sell people. Well, actually not 5, because 2 of them will cancel. So at least 3. But I don't need to hustle. I mean, it's just crap. It's just not it's not true. It's not reality. All right, guys, I got to run. Y'all have a great